What's up, guys? Today I want to go over how I have been farming acid pretty efficiently. So before we hop into that, I want to go over why you actually need so much acid. Acid is basically used in all tier 4 and tier 5 crafting. So basically as soon as you unlock tier 4 crafting, you will start to realize you will be running out of acid quite quickly. You need acid to craft tungsten and aluminum ingots. It is also used in the crafting of explosives, which are very important if you plan to do prime wars. Then of course ammo also uses acid. So basically you need tons of this stuff. I actually ran into the problem of acid very shortly after reaching tier 4, and I want to show you guys the solution I came up with. And there are actually a few different ways you could go about farming this stuff, so let's hop right into that. First up, we got these defense missions, which you can find all over the map, but the one I like to go to is right here. It's directly under Greywater Camp, so you can just TP there and walk right to the mission, which is pretty convenient. So when you get here, you're just going to want to look through these cards you have, and ideally you choose the one with the most acid. Keep in mind, these things can get pretty tough, so ideally you come here with more than one person, but if you are alone, I would recommend building some basic defenses just to stall the mobs a little bit. So yeah, you can start it up, and you're just going to kill all the mobs that spawn here, and the mobs will actually drop acid themselves. So you're going to get a ton of acid within these 5 minutes. Then some elites also spawn, which is kind of nice, and they actually don't seem to be able to get into the building, which is kind of funny. So yeah, we do the mission and end up with almost 200 acid in just 5 minutes. The only problem with these things is you can only do them a limited amount of times. So I'm pretty sure once you use the cards to spawn them, you actually can't use it again. Quickly, before we move on to the next farming method, I want to mention we are currently trying to reach 250 subscribers, and we are over halfway there. So if you would consider subscribing down below, it'd mean a ton to me. Thanks. So I want to talk about this food item that gives you a 50% increase to your acid drops quickly. The recipe for this is in tier 4, and it is dish 3. So what we actually want is these preserved deviated chops. Now this thing isn't super easy to craft, but the buff lasts 30 minutes, so it's not too terrible. All you need for this is any type of meat from wild animals, peppercorn, and salt. Salt is easy to get, so you just go to the ocean on the outside of the map and collect seawater. Then you can cook it into salt. So peppercorn is quite a bit more difficult to get, but luckily you can buy a few from this vendor in Blackfell, and you can also buy seeds to grow it yourself here, which are slightly pricey. So yeah, then you just cook them up at your house. I didn't use these for my defense mission, but I should have, because it would result in more acid from the mobs, so keep that in mind. So now that we have our deviated chops, we can go to a town like this one here, in the Iron River area, and start farming some mobs. This town is pretty low level, but it has some very nice mob density through the main buildings here, which can result in a good amount of acid. You can see here we're getting about 6 acid every time we get a drop, which is a good bit, and that's better than the 4 you normally get from these mobs. So you are mostly going to want to stay around the main building here, as tons of mobs just spawn here, but there are also a few elites that can spawn throughout the town. So yeah, just kill everything here and you get a pretty solid amount of acid quickly. The other spot I would recommend farming mobs at is actually right next to Blackfell, the Blackfell Fallen Zone. The mob density is also absolutely nuts here. Just mobs everywhere and a good amount of elites spread throughout here. So I would only suggest farming here if you are confident you can kill these mobs pretty quickly and are at a decent level. Yeah, so just run around all over this town, and there are mobs everywhere, and they actually drop 7 to 8 acid. So this is probably more efficient than the lower level area, but it is a bit harder. I also want to mention quickly, there is an AFK Acid Farm that seems to work pretty well, but I personally have not done this and don't know exactly how to. It is a pretty ugly setup and requires you to be in a polluted area, and I really like my basin where it is, so it's up to you if you want to do that or not, but you can find other videos on it simply by searching AFK Acid Farm here on YouTube. So guys, that's about all I have for you today. If you enjoyed the video, it would mean a lot to me if you'd consider hitting that like and subscribe button down below. So thanks for watching, and keep on grinding.